Let me begin. Before I begin, I would like to first welcome each of you to our church, where we are committed to empowering people to live beyond life limitation. And we take that from John 10:10, where the scripture says, the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But Jesus says, I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. My name is Stephen G. Carter, Senior, and I'm the proud pastor of Ararat Church, where I was born and I was raised. Before I give my point, I would love to introduce, or have them introduce themselves, our other speakers for this evening. And so I'll turn it into the hands of Dr. Khalid, and then Inspector, and then we'll have our other guests introduce themselves.
Thank you, Reverend Carter. My name is Khalid Kirkland, proud superintendent of District 23, which covers all of
Good evening.
It's working. Good evening. I'm Deputy Inspector Mark Vasquez. I'm the commanding officer of the 73rd Precinct. I've been there about 6 months, and I'm very excited about today's event.
Good evening. My name is Sean Kelly. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for the New York City Correction Department, Gang Intelligence Bureau. I've been in the agency about 9 months, but I used to work at MABCBK. This is my home in 7-3. So I'm glad that you invited me and my team today. Thank you.
Again, we are happy to have each of them, and I'm honored and related to Dr. Kirkland for asking us to host this event on this evening. We definitely appreciate you. Let's give Dr. Kirkland another hand for what he's doing. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, because I looked at the outline and Dr. Kirkland threw me out there first. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, as I said, I'm the pastor of Ararat Church, where you sit right now. I was born, raised, licensed, and ordained in this church. I grew up in East New York on Williams Avenue. I'm a graduate of Thomas Jefferson High School back in the 90s when it was really, really safe. And the Lord blessed me to graduate from Thomas Jefferson High School and go on to Morehouse College, and then graduate from Morehouse College and go to Duke University, and then work in Houston, and then return back to New York to serve this community. And it's made a difference. So I want to welcome you to this town hall meeting. We are here this evening to discuss important issues that affect our community and our commitment. The issues we're going to talk about are gang awareness, economic development, single parenting tips, and so many more. So our overall goal for those who are watching online and for those who are here is that we will leave here understanding that regardless of where we are, it's not going to keep us from getting where we know we can be. One of the first things I want to talk about is the importance of recreational centers, that we want to bring to the Ocean Brownsville community. The only thing that can replace negative activity is positive activity. Would y'all agree with that? Now this is a church, I have to say amen. Come on, say something. The only thing that can replace negative activity is positive activity.
Amen.
Now, the truth of the matter is that kids in our community are not. Let me be clear on this. I want us to understand this. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what newspapers say. I want you to understand what I'm about to say. Kids in our community, specifically Ocean Hill, Brownsville, and East New York, they are not intellectually inferior to kids in other communities. They are not intellectually inferior to kids in other communities. The only difference is that kids in our communities, kids in other communities, have recreational centers and activities to direct their energy in. Superintendent, Deputy Inspector, and myself have been in conversation, and will continue to be in conversation with elected officials and those who are in power and position to see what we can do to bring recreational center or centers to the Brownsville community. Now this is important, let me explain why. notice if you discover that if you pay attention to the word recreation, you will realize that recreation and recreation are spelled the same way.
Right.
Which helps us understand where whenever children are in environments where they could experience recreation and have outlets and release whatever pressures they are dealing with, it frees their mind up. And when their mind becomes free, they're able to recreate thoughts, positive thoughts, challenges, and challenge themselves. So this is very important that we make sure we do that. We want to fight for it because it's a recreation of mind, it's a recreation of teamwork, it's a recreation of winning, and it's a mental shift. Which means that when we push politicians to make this happen, we need the support of each of you, because our voices without our votes leaves us void. That we can complain all day, but if we're not pushing for powers to change and for things to happen, it will not happen. I remember speaking with an elected official, and I won't quote their name, but I said to them, as best as I could, why is it that certain things are happening in other communities, but not our community? And their response was, Pastor, the reason is because elected officials know that if other communities don't get what they want, they show up. They show up. So we have to make sure that we begin showing up to the places of power to show that we need what we desire. Now, yes, there is a recreational center, BRC, that we know about in Brownsville, but what we have to understand is that children and youth, they do not go to other communities for various reasons. Some of it is positive reasons, some of it is negative reasons because of territory. So you may have kids who are not going to leave here to travel all the way to Brownsville. So we want to make sure that we fight to get a recreational center. And the reason why we should get a recreational center is because we have a detention center. So if we have money to build a place to house them when they break the law, then we should also have money to redirect them before they break the law. That's what we got to do.
Yes.
So it's a matter of making sure that we really fight hard for Ocean Hill, Brownsville, so that our children can know that we care. Children, or anyone for that matter, they don't care how much you know. They don't care how much we know until they know how much we care. And the second topic that they gave me is Pastor Carter, how can the church help? Well, I'm glad to let you know I can't speak for every church, but I'm certain I can speak for mine and Bishop Whitaker. Let's give Bishop Whitaker a hand who's with us. I'm certain I can speak for mine and Bishop Whitaker. We have programs that are designed to empower our youth to think outside of the box. If you're a member of our area, you know what I'm talking about. We have programs that are designed to help our youth think outside the box. And it's not hard for me to encourage them because I'm a product of this community. So you cannot tell me what you can't become because I came from this community. So I know that if the Lord can do it for me, He can do the same thing for others. Amen?
Yes.
And so we not only do we have programs, but we have also partnered with other organizations, such as fraternities and sororities. I'm a proud member of Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. That's the best fraternity out here. I'm sorry. And we have partnered with other organizations, not just fraternities and sororities, but we have partnered with elected officials, we have partnered with 73rd Precinct, we have partnered with many organizations to help bring programs to our youth that would increase their experience. For example, we have Girl Scouts that meet every 2 weeks here at the church. And so we have girls from all over, young girls from all over. We have volunteers where these young girls are taught lessons, and they just did a bus trip last year to DC, and they did a project there in DC. And then I partnered them with a pastor who I know that allowed them to also come to the church, to his church, and do their program. So we have several different programs. We have college bus tours, that are provided for kids. We have College Recognition Day that are provided for youth. I've been doing College Recognition Day every year since I've been a pastor, and I'm coming up on 19 years. And I've been doing college recognition every year. And there's a young lady who's in the lobby right now whose son just graduated from Morehouse College. And when I asked him, I said, and when I asked him about it, I said, hey man, you know, I'm so glad you went to Morehouse. I said, what made you go to Morehouse? And his exact words were, Pastor, every year when I came to College Recognition Sunday, you always told people to wear their college shirts and their university shirts, and I always said, I can't wait to wear my own. And he enrolled in college and graduated. We also did a program where we had a basketball team, but the only way you could play on the basketball team was that you had to apply to college. You had to apply to 5 colleges, 3 in-state and 2 out-of-state. But as a result of that, kids were accepted into colleges that they never thought they could get in, and some of them went on and graduated, but some of them would have never attended college. They just applied so that they can get on the basketball team. So sometimes we have to figure out ways to get them where they need to be without making it seem like they are being forced. We also have Kids Church that's here for ages 5 through 12, where it's downstairs on Sunday mornings, where kids have their whole activity. They have fun, they learn lessons, and you get to be free of your child for at least an hour and 30 minutes, all right? And the wonderful thing, we designed it so that it doesn't make the kid feel uncomfortable. Every parent who has a child, they can tell you that when they pick up their child do not want to leave. Because we try to create an environment where it's fun. So we have programs for kids. We also have programs for adults. And so we want to encourage you. You can just scan the QR code on the paper you see in the chair, and that's our church app, and it'll let you know everything that we have going on. Tips for single parenting. Our community is largely led by single parents and largely led by female single parents. Parenting is rough on 2 people, amen?
Amen.
And so when you have single mothers who are struggling with parenting and struggling with children, it can be hard for them to think creatively when they're trying to survive. And a lot of times they're quick to say what people are not doing without actually trying to help them become better in other ways. And so I think, just some tips for single parents. I think one major tip is that you have to make time for yourself. You have to make time for yourself because you cannot pour into your children out of an empty vessel. That you have to refuel yourself. You have to make time for yourself. But then also you have to connect with community. There's so many programs that I'm certain Deputy Inspector, Superintendent can provide that's just unaware. We don't know. A lot of times we just don't know what we don't know. But you cannot know if you're not connected. So you have to connect with community. You got to utilize resources. But then also for single parenting, sometimes you have to reach out for professional help. What do you mean by that? Sometimes as single parents, it's nothing wrong with seeking therapy. Therapy is not a sign that you are crazy. Therapy is a sign that you love yourself enough to keep from going crazy. Amen? That sometimes you need people to help you process. I remember when I first started therapy, I didn't want to do it. I was like, I'm not doing no therapy. And I went, and the lady just kept talking to me, asking questions, and I wasn't saying anything. And she just kept talking, I just kept sitting. And she kept asking questions. And then she said these words. Reverend Connor, you don't have to talk, but you still got to pay me when it's over. I said, well, let's talk. All right, so the thing is that therapy has been a great solution, and it's important. But in our community, specifically Black and brown communities, we have been taught to keep everything to ourselves. And we don't tell anyone. And so sometimes single parents are challenging with so many things from childhood, and now they're trying to raise children by themselves when they themselves have not overcome their own childhood issues. Amen? And as a consequence, hurt people hurt people. And so it's important, I think, sometimes seeking professional help. But then have a positive attitude towards your child. That is very important, that you need to be your child's number one encourager. You need to be their number one supporter. It doesn't mean that you let them do whatever they want to do, but you need to remind them that they can do anything. So I grew up in East New York, and I sold drugs for 3 days, right? 3 days. You ask me why I stopped? I stopped because I was scared that if my father found out, he would kill me. I was just so scared that if my father found out, he would kill me. And when my friends said, man, you're not worried about what they're going to say, I said, I'd rather deal with them than deal with my father, because I had a father who believed in me, and he told me straight up, I'll kill you before the streets kill you. And they were scary words, but they were truthful words that I obeyed. And sometimes kids need to know that you expect a lot from them, because children rise to expectation. So if you're going around telling your child that you'll never amount to anything, you're not smart, you're not this, you get on my nerve, I wish you were not here, they're going to channel that energy towards negativity. So you got to let your child know, I love you, I believe in you. Even when they mess up, you got to let them know you are better than this. You are more than this. You can become whatever you want to become. Just by show of hands, how many of you in the audience have achieved some element of greatness because someone believed in you? Exactly. And so it can happen to you, it can happen for so many other people. I'm almost through, but you gotta always make sure, as I said, encourage your child. Quit trying to be, I'm speaking to single parents and parents, quit trying to be your children's friend. And be their parents. Because at the end of the day, that's what God allowed you to become. So quit trying to be their friends. You can be friendly to them, but still have that line that they know you're my mother, you're my father, whatever it is. Because children will take advantage of whatever you allow them to take advantage of. Amen? They will take advantage of whatever you allow them to take advantage of. So you have to encourage your child. Finally, my part is economic development. Money is power. Amen. Thank you for that one amen, all right? Money is power, and whoever says money is not power, money is important, quit your job and give all your money away. Everything that we do, money determines the food we eat, money determines what we can do for our children, money determines the trips you can take, money determines everything. Money determines where you can send your children to school. Money determines what you can buy, what resources you can buy for your children. Money determines if you can buy food for the homeless, whatever it is. Everything is determined by finances. Now, contrary to popular belief, I understand that college is important. As I told you, I'm a graduate of Morris College, I'm a graduate of Duke University, so I believe in education, but I also believe in reality. In our Ocean Hill community, only 7% of our residents have graduated from college. And this is not that they are less than any of us who graduated from college, because my father told me a long time ago, you may be better off than someone, but you're never better than anyone. And so we have to understand that since our environment is low on college education, then we have to show people economic empowerment through trade schools. We have to push trade schools because we have to meet people where they are. We have several members who have graduated from trade school and are earning, massive income. And I'm looking at myself saying, maybe I should go to trade school, but the reality is that you have to meet people and help people improve themselves. So we have a job fair coming up next month for the community. And most of the jobs that we're going to be promoting will be jobs that are based on skills and skill sets for our community. You want to have jobs that require, a bachelor's, master's, but with most of the jobs that we are going to have, we want to make sure that they are skill set based so that our community can benefit from them. Because you can bring everything to a community, But if it doesn't meet the needs of the people who are in the community, then what you bring in may be good, but it will not serve any purpose. And so that's my part for that. I thank you for listening to what I have to say. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Kirkland.
So, Reverend Carter only owes me 2 minutes. I want to thank Mr. Kelly, I want to thank the inspector, and I definitely want to thank you, Reverend Carter, for opening up your church home to us. I have 3 bullets that I'll be talking about today. Number 1, we should be talking about data. How is District 23 doing? B, we're going to talk about long-term absences. And I'll explain that. And then C, I hope to make us up in talking about not only violence, but guns or weapons in our schools. So we're going to talk about data, we're going to talk about long-term absences, and we're going to talk about weapons in school. So we have behind us, because I have some amazing people on my side, and they're going to flip the thing, right? So, okay, we can go to the next one. So that's our vision. So that's the long way of me saying this. And for those of us that have heard it, let me say it again. The vision is, my vision for District 23, I can be able to put in all of the classrooms that we have throughout the district in a paper bag, shake up the paper bag, take out 2 classes. The first one is going to go for KJ, the second one is going to go for Kennedy. Dr. Rose, who are KJ and Kennedy? My children. So if those classrooms are not good enough for my children, then they're not good enough for any child in the classroom, period. Moving on, the mission. So that mission is a little too long. The mission is supposed to, be very quick and to the point. But essentially what we want to do is we want to just raise ELA scores, raise math scores, and decrease chronic absenteeism, in a nutshell. And doing that means we have to do all those things behind us here. But because I want to hurry up, we're going to move on. This is our district at a glance. So we have 23 schools in total. We have a large majority of our scholars are Black and Hispanic, and an overwhelming majority, as designated by the state, are considered economically disadvantaged. And the passage was a little bit about that before. So let's talk about the specific things that we want to do in the district. Like I told you, we want to raise ELA scores. When I came to the district last year, we had 33% of scholars who were reading at or above grade. Let me say it again. We had 33% of scholars reading at or above grade. That means that the 67% of students were not at grade. We want to raise that by a minimum of 10%. And how are we doing that? We're doing that through a program called the AIM Institute, which is going to be training all of our staff members around the science of reading. Everybody knows that there was that one teacher in the school that could work with children that might have been in grade 8 and had a 3rd grade reading, right? There's always that one angel in the school. What I want to do is I want to create 30 to 40 angels in every school, period. And we're doing that, and I'll show you the data. We're now in mastery season now, where every day, every one of our schools is focused on the same standard, and when they finish that teaching that standard, they take what they call an exit ticket to be able to say, did you learn? Because it's not good enough just as the teacher taught, but it means nothing if the students didn't learn it. Number 2, we want to raise our math scores. So I'm not going to tell you here that, the entire city was weak at math. No, I don't care about the entire city. District 23 was horrible at math. District 23 had close to 18% of scholars who were at or above grade level in math. So very much similar to how we're focusing on the basics in ELA. I'm a mathematician by trade. So I grew up, I'm a little little older than a lot of y'all, much younger than me. But we grew up with black and white composition notebooks. And the back of that black and white composition notebook was a time series. It was in the top left-hand corner. And we do our time series. My mission says that if you go to school in District 23, you're going to learn your time series. Because I've done AP calculus. It doesn't matter whether you have a 50-step word problem. The last line or two is always going to be added, subtracted, multiplying, and dividing. So let me give the benefit of the doubt to our teachers, and our teachers are doing a good job of teaching the math. But if you get down to the basics and still don't know their times tables, it's a problem. So I'm demanding that our teachers and our administrators are working with children on their times tables every day. And then finally, the attendance. So attendance is also deplorable in District 23. When I say deplorable, that's exactly what I mean. Just yesterday, I got an email from the Deputy Chancellor. What we do is they list out all of the districts, and then they rank us by different variables. With attendance, we are at 43% of the scholars in District 23 are what they call chronically absent. Let me say that again. 43% of scholars in District 23 are defined as chronically absent. What does that mean? That means that they've missed 10% or more of school. 10% or more of school. Now, I've done a little deeper. Where is our biggest challenge? I'll let you take a guess, but I'm going to tell you because it's not a quiz. Our biggest challenge is in kindergarten and first grade. Kindergarten and first grade. They have 80% of our attendance problems. Now, I have principals that are here. They know that I beat them up on a regular because I say it's your job to encourage middle school students to want to come to school. You have to do something to entice them to want to be here. But I don't care what you do, a kindergarten kid probably can't bring themselves to school. No matter how much they want to come, they can't bring themselves to school. So I said it in church last week, and I'll say it again. Remember I told you I'm a little older than most of you? I grew up in the 80s, and Reverend Carter understands this. So the worst thing that you could have said to somebody in the 80s was that you were a crackhead. Remember that? It was a crack epidemic that came through? Okay. So if you call somebody's mother a crackhead, it was even worse. That was like fighting words. Okay. So I want to create in District 23 a new fighting word. And that fighting word is going to be called chronically absent. So all of you are going to be my policemen. And when you see somebody in the street and their child is there with them and it's 11 o'clock and they're not going towards their school, I want us to say to them, your kid is not in school, you're chronically absent. That's how you gotta be. That's how it's, where are you going? If enough of us ask, it's true story today I walked in my door and around a little too late, and I see two students sitting on a bench, and I walk my dog. Now mind you, I'm not the superintendent in my neighborhood, and I'm not NYPD. So you gotta be careful, but I'm not afraid of a young black man. I'm not afraid. So I asked him, I'm walking my dog is, handling his business. I have a little plastic bag. And then I say to the kids, are y'all on your way to school? Because it's not too late. Because it's past your time, but it's not too late to be late. So I want to tell parents that also. Just because you go to the hip center, because remember, do they still have hip centers? I can't remember my age. My mother would say, you sick? We're going to the hip center, which I record, I'll put it in the notes, right? You remember that? Okay, good. And then afterwards, we went to school. So I may be late for 2 hours, but school is 6.5 hours long. So I'd rather lose 2 than lose 6. So we gotta get kids in school. Because I have great educators. I have great educators in District 23. But they can't do anything if the child's not there. And I give another example. I'm in a classroom, and I see kindergarten students learning what they call CVC words, consonant, vowel, consonant. Rob, R-O-B, rob. And they're doing this. Roll up, roll up. And they count, Rob. They can spell it, hold on, no problems, right? But then I whisper to the principal, hey principal, sounds good, right? This is good. But you got 8 kids absent in this kindergarten class now. And tomorrow, they're going to learn putting an E at the end of the word, and it becomes robe. So imagine if you're absent 2 days. And then we wonder why those kids in grade 8 can't read, because they lost those fundamentals. But we're going to start going out on the street, just like Reverend is having y'all go out on Palm Sunday, and y'all are going out in the streets. We got to start going out in the streets Monday through Friday, asking them, why are you not in school? Thank you. Next slide. So these are things that we're doing with AIM. So AIM, we're practicing what we're preaching. My principals, they cursed me out in the beginning when I told them, yeah, y'all are paying for that. Know that? Good, I won't call you up, but I see you smiling. So what happens is in phase 1, we train all of our principals on this thing called the science of reading. And the science of reading is very easy. All of you can learn this. So if I have a 2-year-old, I can point to a word, and in a week they will have memorized it. If you tell them that means coat, they're going to put coat. And you start putting them on Instagram. Oh, my baby can read, coat. The minute that I put an S on the end, they're lost, because that's where it's foreign to them. So they're supposed to learn how to read nonsensical words. If you can read a nonsensical word like NPLVW, if you can sound it out, then it doesn't matter what words you come up against, you're going to be able to do that. It also talks about the senses. The more senses we use, the better we can remember that. So not only should we be looking at it, we should be sounding it out, and we should even be feeling the word, feeling the letter. So if I do S in sand, I'm never going to forget how that felt. So that's what we're training our teachers to do. Moving on, so that we have our early adopters. Principals chose anywhere between 3 and 10 teachers. And we have one school, Brownsville Collaborative Middle School. He has his entire school being trained. Then we moved to half of our staff being trained, and then by September, we're going to train every one of our staff. And what I've told the principals is this: you should be afraid. You know why you should be afraid? Because other principals are going to know that District 23 principals are all trained in this. So we're going to lose some people because they're like, oh, you from District 23? Oh, you from training? Back, come on over. So that's something that we need to be worried about, which is a good thing. Moving on, next slide. We focused on culture because our first 2 months of school. Why? Because you can't teach in a zoo. So we had to make sure that culture was down packed in every school. The second thing that we wanted to do was differentiate instruction. Why? Mr. Kelly is 3 grade levels above. Inspector is 2 grade levels above. The pastor is 1 grade level above, and I'm 3 grade levels below. There's no way that we should be doing the same thing in class. There's no way. Because I'm boring Mr. Kelly. And I'm not challenging the pastor. Right? Okay, good. So when I come into classrooms, we better have differentiated instruction. And let me make it real simple to you all. Serena Williams, if she went into a class to learn how to do the backhand, right? She already knows how to do the backhand. Her father had her doing 5,000 backhands. Imagine if she had to sit and wait until everybody did one. We would be wasted. We wouldn't have a Serena Williams. So that's what I mean by differentiation. Next is called Mastery Season, and that's what we're in now. So I stole this idea from the charter world. The charter world does not believe that if you do a great pep rally before the day before the test, scores are going to go up. No. There's no research that says that a large pep rally before the test is going to get higher test scores. You got to teach kids to read. So every day we're focusing on standards to make sure that our kids know what they're doing. Finally, when this test is over, right, because we have a test as soon as the kids come back from April break, they'll be taking the ELA exam, they're going to take the math exam. Then we're going to go into PBL called project-based learning. Why do we have to do something different? Again, we got to get the kids motivated to want to come to school. First of all, teachers are not going to be motivated to come to school after the test. You you're gonna see they're gonna start wearing different clothes. And I got the UFT rep here, she knows what I'm talking about. Teachers are gonna start wearing different clothes, and kids are gonna pick up on that feeling. Oh, school is over. No, school is not over. So we're gonna be focused on project-based learning, and it's gonna be centered around Brownsville. So we're gonna be like, how many trees are in Brownsville versus another district? The bodega, my corner store, is there any fresh fruit in there? And we're going to be talking about health reasons. So you can do a whole study on a bodega around prices, food disparities, how far the bodega is from the bigger grocery store. So that's what we're going to be doing for project-based learning. Moving on, we already talked about the mastery season. We don't have to bore you with that, but I love the data. Check out the data. Do we have the data? Here we go. This is the next slide. There we go, right there. There we go, right there. So look, when we first did the beginning of the year data and then the middle of the year data, my deputy, her name is Dr. Makisha McCoy, who's absolutely amazing. She said, Dr. Kirkland, this is alarming. This is not good enough. This is not going to reach you where your goal is. So we started to do this mastery season. So we broke it down into every grade, grades 3 through 8. Those are the students that take exams. And that's the increase in the data for every grade. So it went from, in third grade, it went from 7.4 to 21%. And that was only in 3.5 weeks. So we're now in week, 8? It should almost be double those scores. You're going to see dramatic gains in Brownsville. When that, when the Daily News puts out all of the data, you're going to look for District 23 and you're going to see a dramatic increase. And this is data across all grades. Good. Moving on, next slide. That was for ELA. This one is for math. Or math was first, and that's for ELA. Check it out yourself. You all know. You can read it yourself. You see the data? You see that? If you have any questions, you can answer that afterwards. Moving on. We don't need to talk about the support. Well, we do need to talk about the support. Brownsville is a hard to hire district. Let me say that again. Brownsville is a hard to hire district. True story, I'm talking to a principal, I'm talking to a teacher. Teacher says, teachers get those passes that they put in their windows. Teachers told me, no, Dr. Berger, I don't even put the pass in my window. Because then they'll know that I'm in a school and I'm not getting out until 2:30, and then they'll rob my car. You ever thought about getting off from Broadway, East New York? On the LIRR? Problem, right? Doesn't that look like desolate? Yeah. Right? Okay, who wants to get off there? But guess what? I only want people who want to work in District 23. I want people who are afraid of children. Right? So we're going to be going into our historically black colleges and start recruiting children to come right to the college, right from the colleges into their own neighborhoods. So we already have a thing with Teach for America, where we have a lot of Teach for America graduates who live in Brownsville, who graduated and moved in. They were from Brownsville, and we're bringing them back into the schools. And they're going to look like Brownsville. We have a big announcement about the co-location. So in PS 150, we have a District 75 program that's going to be coming into our building. I'm really looking forward to that. The principals have already talked to each other. I'm really excited about that. And just that you know, a charter school closed, and now a District 75 program coming in. So I love your class story, right? I love your class story. I'm a proud public school graduate. And let me just proud public school graduate. And let me just say a little something. Don't give any positive listening indicators. You don't have to clap for this. Don't clap for this. Charter schools are public schools too. Charter schools are public schools too. Charter school basically is just our competition. So you know one of the first things that I'm coming from a charter school. I was a principal of a charter school. You know the first thing that parents ask for when they go to the charter school? You know the first thing they ask? They don't ask about the curriculum. The curriculum is really the same. You know the first thing they ask? This is not a quiz, I'm going to tell you. What time can I drop my kid off, and what time can I take my kid off? The charter schools are dropping off kids at 7 o'clock in the morning. They're picking up their kids at like 5:30, 6:30 in the afternoon, in the evening. So those parents can have a full-time job. If you're dropping a kid off in District 23, God forbid we don't have an after-school program, that means the school day starts at 8:20 and leaves out at 2:20. So that means if you're dropping your child off at 8:20, you're not getting to work until 9. If you gotta pick up your kid at 2:20, that means you gotta get off work by 1. Make people work out from 9 to 1 with a full-time job, able to take care of 2 or 3 kids. You can't, especially if you're a single parent. You can't. Let's go back to the chronic absenteeism, which is a bad word, right? You chronically absent? You shouldn't even be able to say that word in church anymore, right? That's a bad word, chronically absent. So, I don't want, the last time I was on my chronically absent, they said, Dr. Berkman, you're not empathetic. My wife says that sometimes too. I need to show more empathy. So let me tell you how I am empathetic. Reverend talked about a single mom that has 2 children. One child is 3 years old, the other child is 5 years old. And the 3-year-old is sick. Can I take the 5-year-old to school and leave the 3-year-old at home? I can't do that. So therefore, we're looking at our data and it says siblings normally have the same absences. Siblings have the same, so just because Michael is sick, Michelle is staying home also. That's a problem. That leads to our chronically absenteeism, right? Because I'm not even sick, but I can't go to school because my brother is sick. So we have an answer for that. Brownsville, I've done some research. We're only 1.16 square miles big. That means that we all live close. So if I can't bring one of my children to school, I should call the pastor and say, I know you go to the same school, can you help me and bring Malik to school today? That should not be a problem. That's what we have to do to be able to help each other. That's one of those excuses that we can just take out the box quickly. Okay, I'm not in mine early, I think, so these are some of the family updates. So we have the biggest thing that I want to talk about is the autism brunch. Autism brunch is happening on Saturday, April 1st. So we have quite a few of our children now. My doctorate is in students with disabilities. So I have a special place in my heart for students with disabilities. And autism is very serious in our community. And there's a spectrum, large spectrum about autism, right? So you can't just say, oh, autism, these kids are just like that. So I've seen autistic children that know they could be able to multiply right now 375 times 512 and need no paper, need no calculator, right? But they can't tie their shoes. So that's the kind of autistic child we're talking, or very regimented. And the minute that you throw something off a little bit, no problem, right? So we need to be able to let parents recognize these signs early. And the biggest thing is, like Pastor talked about going to counseling. Because something is different about your child doesn't make you a bad parent. We're not assigning a label to you, the parent, as you're a bad parent because your child is autistic, or because your child is special needs, or because your child has an IEP. So we need to embrace that, because sometimes, and let me tell you about other communities that don't look like us. You ready? Other schools and other communities that don't look like us? Oh no, they are willing to accept that IEP. You mean to tell me that my child is going to be in a small classroom, have double the amount of teachers, and get more time on tests? Sign my child up. Sign my child up. We're too busy thinking about, you want me to the yellow ones? That's ostracized. No, not my kid. Meanwhile, your child is not getting the services that they need. Finally, what I want to say is, because I'm not like the pastor, I'm not going to give them a poke. Finally, what I want to say is that no disability should be forever. I can have dyslexia and learn how to read. My best friend is dyslexic, but he's also my attorney. And he learned coping mechanisms to be able to deal with dyslexia. So we can be able to, that's why you have small class sizes to be able to do the challenges that he or she needs. Let's move on. Because I want you to be able to answer questions at the end. So we have these school surveys. So watch this. School surveys are very important. I think it ends on the 31st, right? Let me tell you why school surveys are very important. Because some people who are angry fill out the surveys. Let me give you an example. Your favorite restaurant, don't tell me now, just think about it in your head. Think about your favorite restaurant. Have you ever filled out a survey for that restaurant? Probably not. You know how you show them that you like them? You just keep going back. Right? So we get a lot of parents who are happy about their school. I'm not filling out a survey. I love this school. No. You need to fill out that survey too. Because the people, remember when American Airlines lost my baggage? Oh no, I'm definitely going to fill out a survey for them. I hate American Airlines. And I'm going to tell American Airlines about it. But it might have only been for that one customer. So even if you love your school, we need you to fill out the surveys. Next thing, the Passover. Passover starts on April 6th. Let me give a plug for Pastor. On Sunday, he's going to be taking his community out and he'll be giving out palms. Right? Please make sure that you're at these residents. So we're going to separate church and state. Let's move on. So watch this. School stops on Thursday, right? There's no school on Thursday and Friday, so the last day of school is Wednesday. I've worked in the most affluent communities. You know what they do in the affluent communities? They take off on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You know why? Because they're going to St. Croix. They're going to Germany. They're going back to their foreign land, right? In Brownsville, they're not going back to Germany. But they still will take off on Wednesday. You know why? Ain't nothing happened. Ain't nothing happened. They probably absent. That before and after holidays is some of our biggest absentee days. So therefore, we have to encourage kids to know you are in school on those days before and after the holidays. Everybody got that? Okay, good. Let's move on. We're also celebrating Eid. Eid we have off on the 21st. And then, listen, contact Dr. Kirk. So let me just do this. I try to do this all the time. The chancellor tells me I shouldn't do it, so don't tell him that I did it again. You ready? The chancellor doesn't like me to do this, so I'm going to do it. Can you take out your cell phones? Everybody take out their cell phone? Should I get a phone? You got a phone? I know I sat next to you last Sunday. Okay? I shook your hand like 5 times. As I had us shake your hand like 10 times. Good. It was my last name is Kirkland with a K, like the Costco brand, Kirkland. My first name, my mother would like you to say, is Khalik. Not Khalik, not Khalik, not Khalik, but it's Khalik, K-H-A-L-E-K. K-H-A-L-E-K. And my phone number is area code 443-377-8811. Again, 443-377-8811. That's my real number. That's not a Google number. That's not my work number. That's my real number. If there are any questions, comments, concerns, you done put the idea all the way up and nobody's answering, that's when you're going to call or text me. And I'm going to answer. First thing I'm going to ask you is, have you spoken to your child's teacher? Have you spoken to the principal? Where you did all that? Bet. Now what's wrong? And you can always text me. Text me at least an hour. My wife is not going to allow me to answer the phone if it's supposed to. And I do answer the phone. And I do even answer the phone on weekends. That's my number. Now watch this. We always have one person who doesn't believe me. There's always one. Good. None of you text, none of you call me. That's good. So you believe me, because I'm in the church. But this is my number. Plug it in, and call me if there's any. But you know what also I say? Call me for positive things. Call me to say, Dr. Kirby, you're not believe this. This is going on at this school. You have to come by here and see that. I want to do that. I like taking pictures. I would be remiss if I didn't thank in my entire district office team. You know, stand up. Miss Echoes, stand up. Miss Echoes is always saying, my district office team. Stand up. Stand up. Thank them. And guess what? When I leave, you can ask them the questions. You know, there's always that one person that has a question. Just they always sit up, so you know who they are. Thank you, Reverend Carter.
Come on now, let's give Dr. Kirk a This is very important because we are clear based upon what he has shared with us this evening that he is not in his position for pay, but he's in his position for purpose. And that is very, 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 very important. For those who are watching online, I want to encourage you to take advantage of everything he is saying because education plus application will lead to our children's transformation. And we have to make sure that we are supporting him however we can. How many of us remember the day and time when your parents didn't ask you what you wanted to do? They told you. Okay, so come on, talk about it. And so we have to make sure that we are supporting his efforts as he gives back to the community to make sure we enforce and encourage our children to take advantage of everything that he's doing. Thank you so much, Dr. Our next presenter is Deputy Inspector Mark Vasquez, and he's the commanding officer of the 73rd Precinct, which is our local precinct. More importantly than being a commanding officer, he and I had a chance to sit down and talk and get to know one another. And he is someone who can relate to our community because a lot of times people can come police people that they can't relate to. But we are blessed to have someone in our community who can relate and has been through so much of what our youth are facing and has his own testimony. And here he is today serving and protecting of our community. So I introduce to some and present to others. Deputy Inspector Mark Vasquez. How long do you have?
Make sure.
Good evening. I'm Mark Vasquez, Deputy Inspector, CEO of the 73rd Precinct. And we did sit down and we spoke about a few things when I first got here. And I think I shocked you with a couple of things, right? So just a little bit about myself. I'm just going to get into my background before I talk about things related to the police department. There's a lot of stories that I can tell. All right, so my family's originally from Brownsville. My grandfather came here years ago. He had a bodega over on Liberty and Mother Gaston. I don't know if anyone remembers. It was called Pop's Grocery. All right. So you're looking at me. I'm the only one in my entire family who was able to become a police officer. And what do I mean by that? Able. Meaning I wasn't incarcerated. Okay, because everyone in my family has been incarcerated, including my brothers, uncles, cousins, aunts. Okay. The Vasquez family was pretty notorious and known for getting involved in criminal activity, which is unfortunate because as a kid, all everyone talked about is what was the next scheme, right? How to make money quick, right? So the way I got out of that was I had support from someone that I looked up to. He was a family friend. My mom actually got a good job in Manhattan, and I would routinely go there with her. And I know about chronically absent, because I can tell you I was chronically absent a lot. Because my mom, I lost my dad at 11 years old. My mom was a single mom. She worked hard to raise all three of us, and sometimes we couldn't make it to school. And if we did go to school, we made it to school on our own, because she wasn't able to take us, like you said. So the problem is, I have a lot of family members that have bad influences, and I met this person who was a boss, very successful boss, in Manhattan that my mom worked for, and his name was Ed Robinson, never forget his name, and he was born and raised in Harlem, okay, and he told me about his upbringing. So I'm here thinking to myself, this man is a millionaire, successful, he runs a big company in Manhattan, and he's from Harlem, from a bad neighborhood, and his family got involved in things just like my family got involved in things. So I'm like, that means I should be able to do the same thing. And sometimes our kids have to see that. They have to see that you're able to get out of the neighborhood and make something of yourself. Because a lot of people can't. It's unfortunate, a lot of people can't. And I started getting more interested in education, because we always talk about going to college and getting an education. And at the same time, I always wanted to be a cop because I watched too many movies with Mel Gibson back in the 80s and Bruce Willis and all that, and I thought that's what being a cop was, right? I was mistaken, but as a kid, it always excited me to see that. So I'm like, you know what? I want to go to school, but I also want to do something in public service. And I had people in my family always talk about becoming a cop, but they couldn't. My dad was a Vietnam vet, he was a Green Beret. He was seriously injured. When he came back, he always wanted to be a cop too, but he could never become a police officer. He ended up getting arrested himself with his brothers. And not only people being incarcerated in my family, drug use was big. Remember, in the 80s, crack epidemic was crazy. Heroin was still there. And I can tell you, just to go to Howard Pool, you had to run barefoot to Howard Pool because you couldn't put your sneakers in the locker because they were gone. And you had to dodge the crack bottles on the floor while you went into that pool. All right? And I can remember every night we would hear shooting fire in the park. You know, it was violent. My father was shot in front of me when I was 4 years old. It's the first memory I have on this planet. My Uncle Jimmy was murdered here. And I've seen family members do violence as well. So, the moral of the story, what I'm trying to get to, and there's way more things I can talk about. If you want to sit down and talk to me about it, I've seen everything and been through everything in my life. But the moral of the story is about getting our kids to have mentors, getting our kids to go to school, because this is what's going to get them out of trouble. If you have nothing to do, trust me, you are going to get in trouble. All right? And sometimes people say, like, oh, you know, is it over for my child? My child got arrested. My child got arrested with a gun. Well, you know what? I can tell you, my brother George, his first arrest was with a gun in a taxi cab. And, you know, back then there was no getting out of jail. It was a plea deal. It was like, take this year or you get 5 years. So he took the year, like anybody would. We never lawyers like that. And that was his first arrest of many. A young kid, always getting into trouble, just like everyone else. But eventually, he got a mentor. He got out of jail. He got a job working for a fire extinguisher company, a trade that he learned. His boss took a liking to him and said, you know what, you're a smart kid. You always get into trouble. I don't understand, you know how you always get into trouble. You seem like you're very articulate. You know, you work hard. So he took a chance and he gave my brother a few of his contracts because he was retiring. So my brother turned a small business that he started into a multi-million-dollar corporation. Amen. And he was a very nice dude at it. And we always pass around the house. I'm like, you know, maybe I get one of those. I do well at that one. But, you know, the whole point of the story is the mentorship. And when we talked about finding programs for kids, all right? And there are programs available, but there's not enough. Like we do have 127 Penn over in Pennsylvania in 75, but not everyone can get to that community center. Okay, and we spoke about, you know, being in Brownsville, some kids can't cross over to certain areas to go to other places. So one of the things that we were thinking about was we actually applied for a grant to get electronics, video games, things of that nature in our hands, and then utilize some of the churches, some of the other locations in the neighborhood that we could go and get kids in the door just with those games. And you might say, hey, why games? Why video games? Why virtual reality? That's what kids like. That's what kids like. And that's how you gotta entice them. If we get them in that door, we'll let them play with the games, but at the same time, we're gonna give them a lesson. We're gonna try to talk to them. We're gonna try to mentor them. And like I said, mentorship is what we need. You know, our kids will succeed if they have someone that they can look up to, that they want to emulate in the future. And it all starts with not only us, just all our partners as well, just getting all this together. We also have Saturday Night Lights that we do every Saturday. We get the kids over to the parks and play a game while police officers are there with them, so they get to meet our cops, get to know who they are, and they're people too. Like, you're looking at me, and I just told you my story. You wouldn't think that I went through all that, right? You would think that I'm just some cop that, you know, came from some other place, maybe Long Island, right? Not saying anything about Long Island. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you would think that, and not know the story, but there's a lot of kids can go down that path if we show them and we're there for them. And we talked about using this church, remember, when it gets done downstairs and being one of our sites that we can use. The Police Foundation also donated some virtual reality equipment, not only for them to play, but they also have programs and apps on that virtual reality headset that will let kids work through scenarios on how they would react if they got approached by somebody who's, probably on the wrong side of the law and trying to get them to do something wrong and how they would react, and after they play that game, they can talk to us and we ask them how they feel about it. And I told the pastor, I always come down here, we get a room full of kids, I'll tell them the story. I'll sit down and I'll take 3 hours. That's why I asked them to stop. So I don't want to get the clock, I don't got slides and everything, but I got something. So yeah, just talk about a couple of statistics in the precinct, which I didn't even get to yet. But, Brownsville's down right now in crime, year to date. We're at 11.3% in almost every category. We're actually one of the largest decreases in the city. There's 77 precincts. I think we're in the top 15 now, and we're climbing down to have the largest decrease in crimes. That's a big turnaround. And if you look at the fourth quarter, September to December when I got here, we slashed shootings in half. Okay, and that's not easy. When you look to this year, from January to now, shootings are down 30%. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens with working with our partners, thinking of new ideas. And my biggest focus right now is the youth, because we look at youth violence. We had someone as young as 12 get shot with a gun this year. Okay, we had a young man lose his life right on Saratoga, a few weeks ago. And the person who did that shooting is a teenager himself, and his life is over now. Okay? So, and I remember one of the chiefs in the borough gave me a alarming statistic. He said that I think it was 47 kids under the age of 18 were arrested with a gun this year, versus last year, which was only 11 kids. So that's a huge increase. These kids are getting hands on these guns. Like I said, a 12-year-old playing with a gun was shot. So these are some things we have to do, is focus on the youth. Because I know it's cliche, but they are our future. And if we don't get it done when they're young, trust me, it's going to be hard to get anybody out of that when they get older. And we all know that. So I thank you for your time. I will answer any questions. I don't want to kill the clock, like I said. But I'm glad to be here. And I'm very, very proud to be the commanding officer of Brownsville.
This is important because sometimes what can make the difference is that a police officer can relate and can rescue. Sometimes children, they just need to be reminded that they can become more than what they see. The reality is that a lot of children in the Brownsville community never leave a 5-block radius of their home. And so they're never exposed to different things. And they don't know what they can become. And so exposure is extremely important, because the more you expose children to what they cannot see, then they can expand their mind. They can expand their minds to become more than what they are. So we thank you, Deputy Inspector, for your story. We're also happy.
Real quick, we also have to do a good job of telling others about how great the inspector is. So we just had the chief walking up. So Chief, I just want you to know that we want to remove the green deputy.
Yes.
Very clear. We're advocates up here about removing that deputy title and making it full inspector, full bird, as y'all call it, as quickly as possible. So you heard it from me. You know my number.
heard it from him at my church. All right. We are also happy to have with us on this afternoon, who I just had the pleasure of meeting, is Assistant Commissioner Sean Kelly for the New York City Department of Corrections. Let's give him a hand. I don't want y'all to miss it. I don't want y'all to miss the importance of what you are seeing on tonight. You have a superintendent, school district. You have a deputy inspector, a commanding officer. You have the assistant commissioner of the New York City Correctional Department. The reason why this is important is because many years ago, if we would have invited people who held those same positions, the skin color would be a lot lighter.
Yes, yes, it would.
And so now, as our people are in this, and I know I'm pro supporting the advancement of what God is doing in all communities. But our people are now having positions of power and influence, and they're bringing back their knowledge to help improve our communities. So we should never ever take these moments for granted. And whatever information we receive tonight, make it your business to share with others what you have received. So without further ado, let's give Assistant Chief Sean Kelly a hand.
God is good. God brought up in the church. I want to first thank Commissioner Molina for allowing me to come out here tonight and speak to everybody. I'm going to tell you something. This is an amazing man. We got to work together back in 2013 or 14 at the Brooklyn Angels. Just under the Honorable Ken Thompson, who was a very good man who lost his life at the age of 51 years old with colon cancer. But you know, it was a great relationship. Commissioner I got, he actually asked me to come aboard to be the commissioner, assistant commissioner for the Ag and Health Division. So I have to thank him and the supporting staff I have here today. My XO, Weedy, and my new director of Gang Intel, I'm going to be real short because my staff is going to do a lot of presentations, but I was in NYPD for 25 years. I was undercover in narcotics during the age when Eddie Burns got killed, and I was working in Queens, went to school together. Scott and I were on the job together. I worked in Brownsville as a cop and a sergeant, and I had to come back here because I love the community. I met some of the most amazing people in Brownsville, and I'm always going to support Brownsville throughout. So thank you, first of all, for having me. My presentation tonight is going to be about awareness for our young children. Like everybody has said up here, my mother was an educator for New York State. My aunt is the deacon of the church, and the church is the church. So, and like I said, I don't know how long I've been retired, about 13, 14 years now. But I love this, I love the community, I love the work, and I have my staff. I'm going to show you some slides. I want you to really pay attention to what they're going to show you and listen to what they're going to tell you, is because we want to save our youth from going and being incarcerated. Commissioner Molina, pet project was the RNDC for young adults. I have two of my investigators here who work in RNDC, and both of them are from Brooklyn. One investigator, commander, he actually does the PLA, and he's educating the kids, and he's here doing a lot of stuff. So I'm like him and his partner, investigator Simon, started off, and let's get the screen going, guys. Yeah, it doesn't come down so you don't see us. I apologize.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Investigator Mendes.
I have over 2 decades of working with at-risk youth, and today we just want to bring some awareness about at-risk youth. The reason why I'm so passionate about this because I was once an at-risk youth, being a victim of gun violence also. In 1987, I've been shot, and in 1989, I've been shot 4 times. So to be here and speaking, I just want to be real brief because we just want to go over the slides and show you. But I just want to speak about myself and what I've been through. Yes, I'm a Brooklyn native. I currently coach football right here in the Bessie Head Park with Moon Jaguars, and I'm serious about my kids and my youth. Just like the inspector was mentioning just earlier, I actually take several kids to the PAL on Pennsylvania and Liberty. I come around with my truck, I pick them up right here on Sutter, on Blake, all over here. In this area, I have a kid right here on Howard. I pick them up on Saturdays, take them to the gym, we work out. So I've gotten to meet a lot of the officers that work inside of the PAL on Liberty and Pennsylvania, right? So that is a truly amazing place to bring in kids. Right now I'm coaching 12-year-olds, so if you have any 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds, bring them down. Okay, no better Jack on Saturday at 11 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. But that's just that's me, that's what went through with me. And when I speak, I spoke at the PL just recently, and I try to encourage the kids to take these jobs, because God knows I have more than I ever had working now, and I'm almost done. And I know it's a blessing. I wish my mother was here to see. I've lived in tenements for 35 years, and now I know I'm blessed because I have things that I never thought I would have. House, vehicles, presentation, and show you the awareness. That's what we want to bring to you guys, awareness about what transpires in the facilities and what also transpires out here. And if we're more aware about the things that our children is involved with, then we'll have a better understanding. We probably could deflect this epidemic that's transpiring. Okay, because this thing is really an epidemic. And because the children today that are involved are 13, 12, 14. And like I said, over two decades I worked in this field. Prior to working at corrections, I worked right here at Crossroads, right here across the street from the 73rd Precinct. I worked there for several years. And now I'm already been in corrections for about almost 17 years, so I'm almost done. And prior to that, I worked in group homes. So I've been working with youth for over 20 years. And I'm going to pass it on to my partner. Yes. And right here, before I went to all these jobs, that was my supervisor at Time Warner. 9 years, we worked together at Time. I worked there for 9 years, and you probably retired from there. You still there? No, you retired there. So, right? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Investigator Simon. I'm a New York City Correctional Officer, and I work under AC Kelly, Deputy Commissioner Molina. I work alongside these gentlemen. Yesterday we was sprung with this, right? So I like to say real stuff. They say, right? I tell them how I feel. So they was like, do a presentation in Brooklyn. I was like, presentation? We speak from the heart. So Commander came in and was like, I'm gonna do passion. It's not presentation. I was like, okay, me too. Then you got a voice. So AC Kelly was like, no, make a game presentation. I was like, okay, cool. We're gonna do it on awareness for parents, supporting their children because they said we're coming to talk to parents. So I'm gonna just say this, right? I've been working in corrections for 10 years. I also worked as a school safety agent for 11 years. I worked in, like Commander said, group homes and things like that. I used to help my grandmother at the church. You have to be there for your kids. Being there for your kid is not being present. It's not just showing up and picking them up on Saturday to the fathers or the mother just because you think you their fathers and you doing more than a father. No, it's being at their basketball games. If I tell you I want to be an artist take them away from the drill music and let them express themselves a different type of way. But support your kids in things they want to do. If they tell you they want to be an architect, don't shoot it down because it's not something we see in our neighborhood. Whatever it is they want to be, they can be. So just support that. Even if it doesn't work, just to know my mother or my dad supported me is more than they ever had. I want to be a skateboarder. When my mom takes me every weekend to the park, when she buy me these skateboards, I don't know where she get the money, but I got these new skateboards. It's money and everything. It's on YouTube. They can be a YouTuber. If your kid want to do that, create a content wall and get a little camera stand for the phone, right? Because everybody kid got phones nowadays, which is the worst thing, because we didn't have phones growing up. So we're going to show our age. I didn't have a cell phone. I had pay phones for the quarter. And I had to call my mother like, all right, I got out of school, I'm on my way up the block. And she's telling me to make sure I get home safe, right? I'm gonna pass it to my partner, Investigator Pickney, Inspector, see you right here. You rubbing off on me, Baxter. So it's like he's gonna speak, and then we'll do a little bit on things on how to identify with your kids, right? Social media, like I said, they got phones. That's a big way to notice if your kid is hanging around gang members, because they may not be. Just because I hang with somebody don't mean I'm doing the same thing, right? They like that about these clothing articles. Clothing articles are a major identifier if I'm in a gang. If I'm not from Kansas City and I want a Kansas City baseball cap, 1 + 1 is 2. Yes?
Right.
Good evening, how you doing? My name is Investigator Pickney. I work under the same regime as Investigator Simon and Commander. We're very happy and thankful to be here today. I've been on this job for 8 years. I've been with the Gang Intelligence Unit before. Prior to come to the Gang Intelligence Unit, I worked at Horizon's juvenile facility. That's where the majority of the juveniles come in first, where they get their first taste of incarceration. Prior to that, I was a caseworker in the Bronx, working at rich juveniles. The idea of this is just to bring you guys awareness. If we don't know, then we won't know. You know, we have to be aware of what's going on. It's the small things that we see that our youth are doing. Maybe it may be something that's written on their notebook. It may be a slang word that they're using. It may be a handshake or something. You know, like you said, maybe a clothing article. Once we're in the know, we're able to react, we're able to do something. The idea is to be preventative. You know, we all come from these neighborhoods. We have to be the change. If they're seeing us in these uniforms and these jobs, they'll know it's possible to be the change that we want to see in our community. We have to act. The main thing I always say is we must, we will, we can. We must be involved. We will be involved. And guess what, guys? We can be involved in these kids' lives and what's going on. So as we get deep into this presentation, we're going to give you a couple of notables that you can look out for, and some of the things that you can even have a conversation with. Just because they're doing something or saying something doesn't mean they're in the game. But guess what? If we could spark a conversation, and you could say, hey, listen, Mike, what was that handshake you did with Jonathan? Oh, that was this and that. Well, you know what? I heard about that. I know what that is. Let's talk about this. Let's get you off that path and get you on the right path. All right? As we get into it, we will talk.
So, we have the map of the 73rd precinct, right? We put this map up because we're in the 7-3, right? The school district is the 73rd precinct. Like Pickney said, y'all see cops and the kids are scared of cops. But when something happens, we call 911, right? Oh, can you come help? Oh, he beat me up. Come to the door. But when you see a cop, just ask them. They're normal people. Ask them things that you may have seen on your kid. You're not handing your kid to the police. But if you see a cop on your corner, let me ask you a question. What gang is in this area? Right? So we gave y'all the map so y'all can see. Wherever you live at, these are some of the gangs in your area. So that you can have a conversation and you can try to prevent your child from becoming a member or getting involved with these people and coming to see us and being an RNDC and then me Commander Pickney in a different way, right? I'll speak, I'm from that side, but Commander, I hang out in Brownsville when I was younger, right? I'm from the Bronx and that side. But this area, we all know is one area when you tell somebody you're from Brooklyn and you say, I'm from Brownsville, they be like, or you say, hey, come meet me and meet me Mother Gas and the Son, they be like, ooh. See, everybody laughing. You be like, well, I want to go there, it's not safe. But the only way we can help the police our neighborhoods and make it better is if we pour into it, right? I'm gonna say this, people probably gonna be mad in the room. I don't speak on behalf of correction, the New York City Correction Department. I speak on behalf of me, right? I see a lot of closed Rikers slogans. If we close Rikers, where they going? To your neighborhood, right? So if we all can help prevent or better the conditions that Rikers have, it will do what it's supposed to do, correct the people that are there to come back into the community, get back to the community, and help you prevent the things going, right? They don't want to keep us employed, but you know.
Based on this map, everybody, you see that if your child lives here and he goes to school here, he's going to have a difficult time going from here to here. He has to cross main streets and roads. And this is a major problem for our children today. They're not telling you, but this is the problem. They don't want to get on the A train and go here. It's only 2 stops. But he's not telling you that. The reason why he don't want to get on the A train is because when he gets here, these guys get on the A train. This thing is major. We have to know what our children are going through. Even the little kids. My grandson want me to come to his school and talk, and he's in the 6th grade. He said, because there's some kids in my school, and there's some girls too. And he want me to come to his school. So I'm in the process of talking to his principal and seeing if I can go up there and talk. I just went to a school about 2 weeks ago through my XO over in Flatbush. And to see the kids over in Flatbush, over by Parade Grounds, I think that's right? Over by Kagan Avenue. That's different from over here. They don't have no housing tenements over there. And they're going through the same thing. So this just lets you know how serious this gang activity is. It's really destroying us. And these kids that we get when they come inside there, they look up to us. And they tell us everything what's going on. And these kids say they wish they could have did this. They even ask me, are you a correctional officer? Because I don't normally walk around, I walk around regularly. And they say, you a correctional officer? Yes. They wish they could do the job, but due to the fact that they've been arrested so many times, it eliminates their opportunity. But we need to fix this opportunity so they can come and take care of their parents and change their living conditions and help their parents. I just talked to my son, I said, when you get out of school, I need you to get you a city job so we can get some more property around here. Yeah. You know, and that's what it's really about. Okay? So, we're going to move on to the next slide. This is a young man, a young promising man that lost his life over the music and this gang activity. You know, this was a very promising young man, but he lost his life early. Okay, yeah, we're gonna talk about this right here. You see these hand signs here? You see these kids use these things here, the hand signals and so on and so forth. This is representing the area that he's talking about, the street crew. Okay? And this is in this area. These kids in this area are part of this type of this stuff here. Anyway, good kids though. These kids has good parents. I see several of these kids with great parents. And I hear them talking to their parents when they're on business calls and so on and so forth. Some of their parents work just like us. I met a young man, his mother works she's a captain. And he said to me, I hate your job because your job is what caused me to be in prison. I said, you can't blame him on the job. She was trying to make a better life for you. But of course the job took her away because she had to be that single mother that do the things she had to do to take care of children. And he got lost in the system. Now he's facing tremendous charges. Tremendous charges.
So, C spoke about Pop Smoke. You don't know who that is, right? Popular music artist. I'm sure your kids listen to them. I listen to him. He is a member of the Boo Street Crew, right? So when you taking pictures of your kids, I put this up because the other day, you know, when you're on a job, you got family and they got kids, they send you stuff. We got a family group chat. They sent my cousin's son picture and said, look at him, what he throwing up? I said, oh, he drunk. He got a C on his head. He put him on a speakerphone. I call him FaceTime. They call me the mean auntie. What you going on the seat? No, my friend, no. I work in a gang unit. There's nothing here that we don't know. So you ain't throwing up seeds because you want to say, hey, I'm with my cousin in the picture. You throwing up seeds because you think you Uncle Snoop. Right? No, we're not doing that. Bring them over here and I make them steer them straight and talk to them. Right? If I call them on speaker, whatever it is, because sometimes I'm not a male, so I may not resonate with what he's going through. I don't know the challenges that a young man faces growing up in Brooklyn, right? So we put him here because, not to put him on here in a negative light, but they're facing games. Like Commander said, you can grow up in a good household, you can have both of your parents. There's something missing there that I'm going outside, that I want to join this crew and find some love out here. Because that's what they're looking for. Because like he said, they look up to us, we sit down in groups all the time. Pickney could tell you, DJ back there, we sit in house mirrors for an hour, talking to 15 kids, and they tell us how they wish they didn't do it, or they crying to Commander because now it's like, well, the reality set in. Well, I mean, 25 years. I don't think I could do that. Call the DA and tell them I got some information. Right? But if we support those kids and make them do things different, counseling, he spoke about counseling, Pastor. Counseling can help with anger issues. I went to counseling. I still go to counseling. Ms. Williams is worth $150 because she helps. She helps to keep people safe, right? And she helps to let me vent. So if you have somebody like Inspector said, a mentor, that's somebody outside your family that you may trust and talk to about things that you're not going to tell your mother. You should be able to tell your mother, but you might can't. Because I didn't tell my mother because I was scared of my mother, right? But I can tell my father anything. There's nothing that I ever did in my life that my father do not know. I could call him right now. They got me speaking on the back. He said, you get up there, you tell the truth to the parent. You don't lie. And if I did something to you and I wasn't there, you tell them that. Because I want them to change it for their kids, right? I'm going to pass it over to Investigator Pickney. I'm going to let him speak a little bit about the next slide.
Okay, so what we have here is a street crew. They go by the name of Chill. They basically originated from a crew in the prior to what was called the Stars. What we want to do is just bring the awareness. Chill is a street crew, so it's not labeled as a gang. They're a street crew. A street crew could be comprised of people from several different neighborhoods that form together, but they're not exactly under a gang umbrella. When I say a gang umbrella is that this crew has gangs within it. The Folk Nation is a gang. The thing about a street crew is your child or the young adult that you know may not actually be a gang member. So if you're coming to them and you're asking, hey, are you in a gang? They're going to say, no, I hang out with the guys, with the show guys. We hang out with the guys from Riverdale and different things like that. They are a street crew. The street crew is pretty much popularized through what we know as drill rap, the rap music. You have Culture Bermudez here, who's a very aspiring rapper who has a lot of potential. He's a part of the show group, and he pushes the show group through his music. And sometimes some of the messages that are perceived through the music are taken upon negatively. A lot of these young kids don't understand that these rappers and drill rappers are entertainers. And the thing that I'm telling you is because we have spoken to a majority of them who have been incarcerated with us. These are kids. These kids are coming in, they're saying these things, these lyrics in the music, but when you sit down and we interview them and speak to them, they're children. They're saying, listen, I don't believe half of that stuff. I'm just doing it because it's music, and their music and their words are affecting other kids. And these kids are actually going out and doing the actions that are being spit out in these lyrics. So it's up to us to kind of pay attention and get a handle on it. These are our young, bright stars who have a lot of potential. With that being said, the more that we are known and aware of it, what's going on, we can attack it head first as a parent, as an uncle, as a brother, most importantly, as a full-blown community. That's what we need. Who's the next slide?
Oh, so just tell them why you're doing this slide. Yeah.
So, we showed you the slide prior to that, which was, you had the individual young man, Pop Smoke, who was a part of the Woo crew. And if you notice, he made his hand signal up, and he was throwing the W up, which is Woo, he's representing his crew. Mr. Bermudez is throwing the sign down, which is basically letting you know that he's an opposition, he's the opposite of that crew.
and he's disrespecting that crew. Now, mind you, these are things that these young adults, they take to heart, and they use this, and they go out, and they're doing this in pictures, on Instagram. Now, your son, your nephew may get a picture, and I could be here, and I'm throwing the woo down. Commander could be next to me, and he's associated just by the hand sign. He has nothing to do with the street game, nothing to do with it all. He's associated. Now, as a parent, after you have been here and you're understanding or watching what we're trying to explain or giving this information out tonight, you see that picture, you pull that person to the side. Come on, let's have a conversation. What's that? What's that sign doing? Oh, man, that's W down. No. I was here. I saw what that means. That's some boys up there on that thing. That's who? Or that's your show. Now you're going to look back and step back and say, oh, you know about that. As a community, we have been abreast and we have the knowledge of it now. So these are certain things that you have to understand. The Cho Street Crew, Hood Stars, Folk Nation, Rock Stars, these are subdivisions of that street crew. Go to the next slide. Associated apparel. A lot of the time, we see hats, we see clothing, we see different articles. They mean something. They're connected to a gang, a street crew, or something of that nature. Did we explain what we started? Go to the next slide. This is another apparel that we're looking at. It looks pretty much like a regular apparel. It's a shirt. A lot of the times, things are hidden in plain sight. That's the best way to hide things. This shirt shows a blue shirt. It's usually like a symbol of the Crips. Then they have the number 30 on it. Usually we would say, hey, that's nothing. That's a nice shirt. But it's a representation of the Rolling 30 Crips, which is a gang. Most notably, they're pretty heavy on this side of Brooklyn and largely a little bit on the Flatbush side. So when you see Rolling 30s, you see this type of stuff, it's in plain sight of us because if I'm going to do something, I hide it right in front of my mother's face. When I was younger, I would hide it in front of my mother's face. She's not paying attention. She don't care. But it's right there. But now she knew what it was. That's a conversation. That's a couple of questions that I have to answer. Now she's aware of it. This is a major topic for us as a community. By show of hands, how many of us have Instagram? So now, if all of y'all got Instagram, how many of your kids got Instagram? Now, when you talk to your kids and you send them a text message, right? They don't respond in full sentences. They respond in a couple letters and emojis. Now, when you go on to Instagram and social media, guess what? These emojis are words and sayings. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer out. A lot of this stuff is sensitive to law enforcement and things like that. This is for your knowledge. You keep this. You use this as your reference for when you're looking through, somebody of a younger status through their stuff. And this is the tip of the iceberg of what's going on. There's different street gangs and gangs up here that have these emojis. And these are some of the things that a lot of these young adults are using to talk, or you may see this under their Instagram name. You're looking at it and you're seeing, okay, right there, Commander showed the blue dot and a wheelchair emoji. So now you look up your son's or your daughter's thing on the Instagram and they say name a blue dot and a wheelchair emoji. So you're looking like, I know this boy's not playing with the disabled. I told you. No. The blue dot references Crip. The wheelchair emoji references the moving gang, which is a moving gang. It's a set of the Crips. You're not paying attention because it's in plain what? Sight. There we go. See, we learned today.
Then we have the 30s and you have the 60s. And then you even see the fruit right here, which is Grape Street. That's another set of the Crips. And what's prominent in this area right here, this group right here, you'll see this pitchfork, or even the Star of David, or even these symbols of the numbers, which is the 7, 4, and 6. That's in this area right here. very big, and also the cribs. But these two areas, these two groups right here, is for you guys. It's for you guys to pay attention to look out for your children, what's in their phones, and so on and so forth. It's not really about, it's about trying to stop this thing while we can. We need to attack this thing. This is an epidemic. It's spreading like a bad disease, and we need to see and look at our kids' stuff and really attack this stuff right here.
And what he's trying to say is that we all have young kids or nephews or nieces, and we're providing them with these telecommunication devices at the young age of 10, and they're getting involved in all this stuff. So, we need to just pay attention to this. And we're not only here for the church, we're also here trying to help our brothers of the globe, because this is not about police correction. It's one patch, it's one city. Okay? One patch, one city. That's how we're rolling. We don't sit there, they have to listen. We're all together, we all have to stick together to make sure that we're helping, brothers and sisters out here, black, brown, whoever we got to save them from being incarcerated. If we only give one kid, we save one kid, we did a lot. Okay? I say like back to corrections, I got with the bishop, and we sat down, talked once, twice, and he's a very moving man. I hate to say it, I've been to more funerals and corrections than the PD, but every time I sit and listen to him talk, I pick up these key words, and then the other morning, 5 o'clock, we're texting each other. I'm like, what's he doing? But we're texting, and then my day was wonderful that day. I got a lot of stuff done because the bishop gives me power, and he gave me the power to come out here tonight to talk to you. And like I told the pastor, we're going to cope again, especially if you have a job fair. We have young individuals, you come into this job, corrections, with a high school diploma. You have a skill set. If I have investigators here who are not correctional officers, but they're investigators. And they have a skill set of knowing, listening to the music, listening to the Instagram, knowing what these kids are talking about on the street. So guess what? They didn't need nothing but a high school diploma. We interviewed them, and my expert back there, Deb Weedy, he puts him through a test. And, if you pass this test, you're good. You can come into the unit. He's a very he's a great man. He came in, sat with these individuals that I have here, came into the juvenile system, and even though he's from the Bronx. But my man's his friend, but listen, he has molded this unit and inspired not only the investigators but myself as well. And we live and breathe this stuff now. I did it in the police department, but right now, it's just crazy. He has me stopping in another street watching, who's that sign over here? MS-13 over here? Like, dude, what kind of meeting go to? But this is what our passion is. And, we get to more churches, more town hall meetings. This is what we're going to do. We want to get out here and save our youth. We want to get out here and educate the public, help our brothers in blue. Like I said, one path from the city, we're gone. So, yes, I apologize.
And to round to, I guess we're going to try to finish everything off. I'm really big with taking my kids to the PAL, and I promote to their parents about the Adopt a Cop program that they have there. That's major. If you have your kids and you can take them to the PAL, that is a great place for your children to go to. And it's free. It's free, people. So that's major. I'm there Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. I train my kids. I have them lift their weights. We're doing all types of sports activities. And then on Saturdays, I'm right here in Mother Gaston. I'm right here at Bessie Ann Park with the football team, the Go Battle Jaguars. And I think it would be a very good thing for the kids. We have to start making our kids come outside and get involved in activities and get them from outside, get them from out the house, in front of those TVs and things. So we have to start promoting this stuff here.
Outside of what we do on a daily basis, we definitely talk to these young individuals,
as you said up here, prevent recidivism. We sit down and talk to these young men about gang life and what they can do to better themselves and what they were missing from their community that would change their outcome of their life. It's not just, oh, you're in here, you're locked up. No, we're going to talk to you about what's your plan once you move on. What are you going to do when you get home? Because everybody here is not facing life. We sit there and talk to these young men, and the reaction I get from someone when we walk down the corridor, or he's walking in the corridor, they're not going to say, they say sometimes, big bro, can I speak to you? Big sis, can I speak to you? We are trying to change the narrative. Every person in there is not a criminal, not evil. That's the problem. We're talking about different things that they can do, different things that they want to do. We told them, school, go to school. We got programs. Change yourself now. It starts in here. We don't thrive on them being in the gang. Say, oh, we know what gang does. No. We try to change their look and their outcome on life. Like we said, we can, we will, and we must get involved with these young adolescents and trying to change them. That's the main thing we do as well.
Okay, I'm gonna finish it up and then we're gonna close it, all right? So, like Brittany and everybody here said, we all gonna be involved. Please be involved. If y'all need us to be involved, we will be involved as well. I say that because 50 said be the change you want to see. We got that from our old boy, who's my mentor. So every Saturday, I do a program and I mentor kids, 44 kids, who's my friends' basketball kids, right? And some young women, because we keep speaking about young men, but young women get caught up in what young men got to do. That's right. That's right. They buy me a car, and I take them to this neighborhood because he say he's looking for somebody. That's what I am. His associate. It's a calmness. And guess where I'm going to? Roses. Right? And they don't lock us up. So if you want to prevent it, just be present, be mindful, look into your kids' phones. We gave you some social media indicators. See how they save in their friends' numbers. The doctor said, make sure they come to school. So if you can't make it and you don't feel good, call your friend that you can call for everything else and hang out on Saturdays and you want them to pull up and have them come get your kid and take your kid to school for you. Right? So we can save them and give back and be involved all as one. Right? I'm going to pass this to our deputy so he can speak a little bit. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. Hope everybody's blessed. Parents, one of the main things that we shy away from, I'm a dad, I have 2 girls, 15 and 9. You all have to be the corrections and the police in the house. I was raised in a household where there was no door closed in my mom's house. My mom used to storm in, I thought she was the state police, so she was so I'm being honest with you, everything that my team just educated you all on, you have to practice. Go through their book bags, know what's going on in your house. There shouldn't be no firearms or any contraband in your house without your authorization. That's your house. And that's where it starts. And we're here to help you reach out. You have MABCBK, you have us, and you have the church. And we're here. Any time of the day, we're always at work. The boss and I, to be honest with you, I shouldn't say this in front of you all, it keeps me up. Even 3 o'clock in the morning, he's calling me. I'm answering in the middle of the night. I grew up in the Bronx, so there's a lot of heat behind that. I shouldn't be standing for this. It's nothing but love. I'm telling you, be here, okay? I will bless you.
Come on, y'all, let's give them a hand. Come on, let's give them a hand. We can do better than that. They deserve a standing ovation. Now, let me begin by saying before we open up for questions, how many of you received some information tonight that you just never knew, right? All right? And it's important that we appreciate this information because as well versed as I think I am, I learned a lot tonight that I was totally unaware of as far as gang signs, as far as new gangs. Chief just shared with me that we have over 200 gangs, and a lot of us are not aware of these realities, and then our brothers and sisters from the correction shared information that's important for us to know and to pay attention to. So again, to the CO department and to the assistant chief and to the deputy, we thank you for coming out again. Let's give them a hand.
Before we open up for questions, I could not have my brother here and not have him say something to us. Assistant Chief, who is the commanding officer of Patrol Borough Brooklyn North, my friend, my longtime brother. Give it up for Scott Henderson.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you that do not know me, I am, as the pastor said, the borough commander for Brooklyn North. I oversee 10 commands from East New York all the way to Greenpoint, 32 square miles, 900,000 residents under my care. And it's an honor that I was selected in December to lead this borough. I've been in Brooklyn out of my 20 years of service in the police department. I've worked in this borough 27 of my 28 years in the police department, starting from a beat cop in 7-9 walking on Fulton Street to my present position today. And I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon because I'm here for the community. I am a product of New York City. I am a product of a single mother who raised a man by herself. Someone who unfortunately put people in jail that needed to be, but never was one themselves. So when people say, like, what are you? What do you think you are? I like to say I'm a mirror. Because I want people to look at me. I want young men and women to look at me and see that that could be them sitting up here with 2 stars on their chest. And that's what I want to be. That's what I demand the people that work for me to do that. Right? When we talk about public safety, and I'm not talking about policing, I'm talking about public safety because it's a partnership, right? It's not just the police that keep people safe. We have our partners in DOE that keep our kids safe when they're educating them and teaching them about life and preparing them to be adults in the world. We have our partners in corrections who mentor and guide and as they say, correct behavior that sometimes they get caught up in bad behavior and then we have to correct that, right? We have the clergy who is a big part of helping to shape and keep people safe and guide and give the advice that makes people be productive members of society. And then we have individuals, we have the community, right? We always hear that about it takes a village to raise someone, and that's true. Right? It's a partnership that we all work together. We can see we can do great things. We don't need people coming from outside to tell us what we need to do. We know what we need to do here, and we work together. We can do it. Right? My inspector, your inspector, talked about what we've done here in Brownsville. I can stand it to Brooklyn North. All right, 2-year shooting reduction in Brooklyn North. Right? 20% down in shooting. And that bucked the city because last year the city was actually up in shootings, but we had a 21% 2-year shooting reduction in shootings in Brooklyn. Right? We see things that happen in other places, they don't happen here. Right? The media is always here. There's always a narrative about Brooklyn, about Brownsville, about East New York. Right? But there's good things that are going on here. And when the good things happen, we don't see the media. Right? When we had that unfortunate incident in Memphis, where those officers took an individual's life, and we thought that there were going to be some community unrest in the city about what happened, because people were rightfully outraged about what happened, right? And they were preparing in the news, and I can tell you, we were getting inquiries from the media, what's going to happen in Brownsville? People are going to riot, people are going to be out on the streets, and there was not one incident, not one, because I knew that we are always moving forward in the right direction. Before I take up my time, I just want to mention one thing that a lot of people don't think about. Again, when we talk about public safety and civic duty, and I've been putting this out a lot, right? Jury duty. Everyone always gets that letter in the mail, And if you gotta call in and you gotta put in for jury duty, we're all trying to find excuses why we don't serve, I can't do it, it's gonna take up my time. But everyone has a right to be judged by a jury of their peers, right? So when they go before the criminal justice system and then they on trial, right? I can tell you from experience, a lot of times our young men and women from the community are getting judged by people that don't look like us because we're not serving on those juries. And I'll share one quick story. We got a young man who was on trial for murder. And of course, he professed his innocence. And the jury, they believed him. He said, I did not commit the murder that I'm here accused of. And the jury was kind of deadlocked on one thing. They said he seemed credible, but his alibi for why he wasn't there at the murder was because he was at the Chinese restaurant and he brought chicken wings with french fries and ketchup. And the jury said, we don't believe that, because who goes to the Chinese restaurant? You're supposed to buy 8 Fu Young and chow mein and stuff like that, right? And there was one woman of color that was on that jury, and she said, I live in the hood. This is the food we eat in the Chinese restaurant. I believe him. And that one woman being on that jury was able to convince the other 11 that that young man was innocent. So had she not have been on there, that might have been a completely different outcome of that. So that's just something I just want everyone to take back. You know, again, when we make an arrest, based on probable cause, we do our investigation. The district attorney has to present that case. The judge has to decide whether the evidence that we presented and the arguments that the DA present are valid, right? But there's that jury component. And someone of your peers judging you and making a decision whether you have to go into custody or correction. So just think about that, all right? Thank you.
We are thankful for the information. We've come down to the final part of the service. Don't worry, we're not taking an offering. We just want to open it up for questions that you may have, that you want to present to any one of us on here, or something that you want to share. And so we want to give the opportunity to have questions. You can stand and someone will bring you a mic wherever you are. We need one of the mics. If you have a question, just do me a favor, just line up in the middle aisle. If you have a question, make it easy. Just line up in the middle aisle.
Quickly, I apologize. We have representatives here from TD Bank that were here ready to talk about financial literacy, so you'll see them on their way out. But I would encourage you to speak to them about opening up bank accounts for your children, because when they are as successful as always been to my right, they're going to need some place to bank. So we have representatives here from TD Bank to do that.
First of all, this is not a question. I am honored to be here. My name is Mark Fleming, and I was born in Brownsville, and 230 Osborne Street. And I remember as a little child, and I do remember you being, I know me, I'm 67 years old, and my parents moved to that side. And upon returning to Brownsville, I am a parent and I am also a resident. And I'm also a volunteer. I give my time and my energy to the Department of Education, and I'm also Vice President of Fathers and Mentors of the 23rd District. And upon doing so, what I've learned, every man that stands before me, you're not a male, you're a man. A male is a man who wants to be served. A man is a man of service. So everybody here, the women and men, we are here to be of service. I have been of service. I lost my father. He was a minister. He was a great leader. And upon me moving to Bed-Stuy, he raised me to be a leader in Bed-Stuy. And by me living because of my heart, what is the main resource? Some people say diamond, some people say gold. No, you're wrong. is our children. And we must invest in our children. I'm retired, I'm blessed. I'm not bragging, but I just want to let you know I'm blessed. My daughter has a master. My daughter has her own entrepreneurial business. My daughter's a famous makeup artist. My son is a big director in Baltimore, Maryland, as a manager. Also being a child of God, just like my Savior, he came. And he came out of his comfort zone. So I decided what I saw in Brownsville at Glenmore Plaza. I'm a resident of Glenmore Plaza. I see the drugs. I see the murders. I hear the sounds. So I was blessed to join the 23rd District, and the individual who was the president saw something in me. And that's ever since then, for 7 years. And I'm not doing this for recognition. I do it because I love my people and I love children. And outside of me doing this, I've gotten a proclamation from the mayor. I've been recognized by the state and esteemed as a decent citizen. So right now, this is bittersweet. For 7 years, I've never seen this. I'm about to move to Alabama. It's a blessing, and I'm taking my children. But I am going to continue this movement of being father and mentors as a volunteer. I'm not getting paid for this. I can sit back and relax. But there is a need. It's not what we want. It's what's needed. So I am honored and I am privileged to be amongst these men, all of you, and my superintendent of the 23rd District. I thank him for allowing me as a parent to participate in our children's education. And that's all I really want to say. I want to thank you, gentlemen, but it's bittersweet. I'm leaving, but I wish I could be more involved. So I'm going to take what I've learned from great leaders. I'm going to take what I've learned and take it with me to the south of Alabama and continue this crusade for young black men of color so we can be recognized, so we can be done in this world today. I thank you, gentlemen.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Cheryl Barnes. I work for ACS. Some people still call it BCW. I work with kids. And that picture I put up there, I don't even need that. We have some kids that wild out at 492 First Avenue. You pick them up at 9 o'clock at night. I go back 4 o'clock in the morning, they still outside. They see them smoking there, what they call them, luau is what they call it. And now I know what to look for at signs. So I appreciate that. I will take it back to my job. Because right now I'm doing a 24 tour. But 3 weeks later I do it 24 hours. Well, everybody quit. Everybody's quitting because they say they don't want to be around kids who's getting high, who's throwing hands up at them. As people they fight and work with you. Come at me, I'm coming at you. This is my plan. I'm from Brownsville, and that ran them well. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Latoya Reich. I'm a teacher for the Department of Education. I'm also teaching as a home instruction teacher within Brownsville community, East New York, Crown Heights, beyond. My question or my intention of focus is related to children with disabilities. I'm currently working with autistic children in the community of Brownsville. My concern right now is that there's a lack of services, so I'm posing this topic to you, Dr. Kirkland. And we're just trying to figure out what type of services are available in the Brownsville community for children who are at home, not able to go back into the school community, and parents are asking, like, what type of services could be offered to them so that we are able to bridge the gap?
Yeah, so let's talk about an individualized educational plan. My wife says I shouldn't speak in acronyms, so IEP, that's what it stands for. That's number one. An IEP is a legal document. Whatever is on a child's IEP legally must be provided to that child. That's number one. Number two, we have different districts. The districts are numbered. There are 45 districts in New York City. One of them is what they call District 79. So District 79 is suited just for the child that you described. The child who, because of their medical ailments, is not able to come to the school. So they can be able to learn online. So the District 79, before we leave here, you did my number right. I'm gonna send to you the superintendent's number for District 79. And they can be able to come and do just what we're doing, to be able to talk about the services that need to be provided for a child that is at home, because we have them, either for long-term or short-term. They should be able to get the exact same services as a child that's in school. So I'll give you that person's number. She's a very sweet individual and is very demanding. And District 79 is across all of New York City, not just in Brownsville or Bed-Stuy or Clinton Hills. Okay?
Let me also add that we on our church, Sunday, April 23rd, we host what is known as Autism Awareness Day. And Ms. Victoria White, who is a member of the church, leads that service. So if you know children or parents with autistic children, you can definitely invite them to the event on that day, and Ms. White can give you more information.
It's District 75. Did I say 75? It's District 75, not 79. I was about to give you a phone call. And she has a really good question. I see her. Look at her with her Yankee hat.
Good afternoon. First and foremost, I thank you guys for taking the opportunity to come out to speak to all of us within your profession and to tell us certain things to look out for. I am one who graduated from the academy. It's called the Citizens Police Academy. I graduated from there. However, I would like to know, I know within the academy, I'm new to Brooklyn, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I am nervous of Brooklyn. I come from the Bronx, I come from Harlem, but I'm very nervous.
I didn't mean to jump in, but I'm just saying.
In the Bronx and also in Harlem. However, I know about the Payable program because my grandson went there, and I was so sad that after he turned 15, he could no longer go there. So what I would like to know, if we can maybe perhaps extend the age for the Payable program for the older kids to be able to go. Also, do you guys out here in Brooklyn offer the Explorers program? Also, my grandson, he's looking at becoming a police officer, in which I'm honored because my family is all about law enforcement. We have a lot in our family who are law enforcement, from CIA to FBI to all over. So, the gentleman and the young lady that spoke about the gangs, I'm very aware of the gangs. I see certain things in my neighborhood, and I just want to know how in any way that I personally can be of assistance. I'm going to tell you, absolutely, when I leave work on Friday, I don't come out unless I have to go to the laundry or the supermarket. And I've never lived that way before. So I want to be able to go out to help those in the community, because we may have other single parents who are afraid to do the same. And if you guys can maybe have some type of program for our older children, like anywhere from 15 to 17 to 21, I know within Harlem, we did have an Explorers program, and I was a part of the Explorers program. So I don't know if you guys have it out here in Brooklyn, where I can get my grandson to participate in it, so then I can get him to understand that there are men of any women of our color who are very professional. Even though my family is very professional, they are not involved with my grandson. And I need help because I don't want him to be lost within a community that he's very unfamiliar with. So if you guys can help me in any way, that would be more than gracious. Vasquez, I'll probably reach out to you. Some of the community officers I've talked to here in Brooklyn. But I really need to feel a little bit more comfortable because to be honest with you, I am looking of going back either to the Bronx, Westchester County, or back to Harlem. Because I don't know, I feel very unsafe within Brooklyn. And I know the Bronx is bad, but I feel very uncomfortable. I guess because it's an unfamiliar territory to me. So if you guys can help, as far as education, I work with the Board of Ed. I would be willing to do anything that I can help someone else so that they can feel comfortable and I can help other single parents also. Because I was a single parent and I raised my kids to the best of my ability. And I think that I've done a wonderful job. And I think that if we all band together, we can help other single parents do the same. So if you can help in any way, please let me know.
Again, we want to thank everyone. Let me just say to the lady who just spoke, you need not be afraid. And I say jokingly, but I mean it. If the Lord brought you through the Bronx,
that's right. I'm trying
to say and there are enough people, and we do have an Explorer program here in New York, and even in Brooklyn, because some of our youth from the church are involved in the Explorer program. So there is help. The scripture says, ask and you shall receive. And so there is help out there. There are many people who, not just on this platform, but even some people sitting next to you out in the audience, if you just ask, there are people with resources and situations that can help. So again, we want to thank everyone who came out tonight, and we want to give each person 2 seconds to say whatever you want to say, final words, and we out here.
Sorry, the record for CIB. She just wants to say something, one last thing on behalf of corrections.
Director.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Reynolds. I'm the director of CIB. Prior to working at CIB, I worked for NYPD and I also worked for the district attorney's office. I just wanted to touch very quickly on some things that we didn't touch on. Many times we have family members, mothers, fathers that are actually scared of their children. They refuse to come forward, or when they do come forward, their kids, and I say kids, but we're talking teens under the age of 21, they act out. So now the family's scared to come forward. There are resources for you throughout NYPD, not just the Explorers program. I believe every precinct has a monthly community board meeting, well not community board, but community meeting, usually helping them on someone. Reach out to their DV officers, reach out to your group officers, talk to them. You don't have to bring your child with you, talk to them, try to see what other resources they have. Every district attorney's office in New York City also has resources. You don't have to wait until you're a victim of a crime for something to happen for you to get these resources. There's therapy. If a child or a teenager has witnessed something tragic in their life, they offer therapy for therapy groups. Bring your child. Ask to speak to someone in community affairs, not only for NYPD in Kings County DA's office. I wanted to touch on that because these kids, they should not make you feel like you're a prisoner in your own home. As much as we want to help them, and as much as we see that they have, these talents, they want to be a rapper, we want to cultivate that. We still need them to go to school. Okay, I personally have seen parents, I need to transfer my kid because they want to move out from one night she goes into the next. I just do the paper. But then nothing happens after that. They don't look for any resources for their child after that. So I just want to express that there are resources out there, and just please utilize them and speak to your local law enforcement. Please also do not bring your child to your local precinct so they can set them straight, because that is how they start to be afraid of the police and disrespect the police. That's not what the police are there for. We are there to serve the community. same as corrections, same as your local DA's offices. But you have to work with us, and then we come up with those resources too. So I just wanted to express that.
Final word from me, there are great things happening in Brownsville. There are great things happening in Brownsville schools. But you can't take advantage of that if you're chronically absent. Make sure that the children are in school on a daily basis. And start asking all of your kids are in school, right? If you're in here, your people are in school. We gotta start asking everybody else, is your child have perfect attendance? Does your child have perfect attendance? From this point forward, we have to have perfect attendance. That would be my final say.
I'm going to use my time to answer that question, the last question about the Explorers and the kids. Every precinct has an active Explorer program, and there's no limit to how many kids we take in the program. If we have a young man, a young woman that we think needs a little bit of guidance and support from us, we will take them. We do not want the good kids only. We want the kids who we can turn around. Every command in the past 2 months, we upped the number of youth officers in the precinct. Each precinct only had about 2 or 3 youth officers. We now have 6 in each precinct. And their goal is to outreach in the schools, outreach in the neighborhood, outreach in the park, to find the kids that need that support and bring them into the program. So the Explorer program is an active program. Expanding on that, we have the Saturday Night Lights, which is locations in every area. Because some of the issues with the PAL is not in every neighborhood, and we have a lot of programs that are going on there. But then, as you learn from the Department of Corrections presentations about territory. So some kids can't go to a PAL in one location. The biggest PAL in Brooklyn is in East New York. So a lot of kids from Brownsville can't go to the PAL in East New York because they're crossing over into different territories. So the Saturday Night Lights program, we brought programs to every neighborhood. And we're there at least till 11 o'clock at night, making sure that we have a safe and active environment for the kids. The last thing I'm going to talk about is summer youth. Each precinct in Brooklyn is going to be employing 6 kids to work during the summer. So that's 60 kids that we're going to be employing from our neighborhoods. My office, I'm going to be employing another 6 children for the summer. We're going to keep them not only off the streets, but occupied, and we're going to put some money in their pockets. Because we know sometimes financial insecurities cause people to commit criminal acts. So we're going to put some money in their pockets. We're going to give them something positive to do and a positive environment for them to work in.
So my final words, I guess I heard a few people say they don't feel safe walking around Brownsville. That's my job to make sure you do feel safe. And rest assured, we're going to do our job, and we are doing our job. We work on our partners, we work with community members. We're going to make sure that Brownsville is a safe place. And it's a place that people talk about in a positive way. You know, I'm tired of being negative about Brownsville, you know? And before I pass it over, the only reason I have to go to the Bronx is to watch the Yankee game every day.
This one, I think that they can say, oh, get not using my back.
take this time. My staff will be in the back to answer your questions and, be here with the chief, try to catch up with some old times. But I want to thank everybody's panel. It's been inspirational. DOC like you always do. God bless everybody here. Have a safe night. Get home.
My final words to each of you tonight was very simple. Church starts at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. And we invite you to come for worship and we pray that you have been blessed. We pray that you have been encouraged. And don't just leave here with this information and not share it with others. But if you have children in your home, when you go home tonight, just share with them some of the stuff you learned. And you'll be surprised how much they will tell you they already know. People are watching children, not just in right now, but also in the not yet. We heard of one of the brothers who worked with my Deacon Brown, for many years, and they saw him here on tonight. Now realizing that he's in corrections, but was once his supervisor, and to see him many years later is a blessing. But even while standing there, our brother who has on the purple, he kept pointing at me, and he was like, "I know you," but I felt safe because I had a bunch of police officers around. And when I asked him, "Where do I know you from?" and he said, "You used to come preach at my church in Harlem many, many years ago when you were just in your teens and your early 20s. So people will remember our youth. If we encourage them, you need to let them know that you may do something in 2023 and people will still remember you in 2053 if you're making a positive impact. And so we appreciate each of you. Let us close in prayer since we are in church. I ask that you just bow your heads. Let's pray. Eternal gracious God, Lord, we thank you for all of our leaders who are here tonight. We thank you for Bishop Whitaker. We ask that you continue to smile upon his ministry. God, we ask that you bless every DOE representative, every parent, every DOC representative, every NYPD representative, and anyone who represents any organization. Now, Father, we ask that this information will be inspiration that will lead to transformation for our future generations. Eyes have not seen and ears have not heard what you shall do. And so, God, as we depart from this earthly tabernacle, but never your eternal surveillance, we ask that you do whatever you must, so when all is said and done, you alone will get all of the glory, and when your people will be blessed. It's in the mighty, matchless, powerful name of Jesus we pray, and all of God's people say amen. Amen.